This is Mega Mike the Movie Man back with my part 2 of my top 10 ranking of films of all time. Yes, my top 10 favorite list of all time of movies. We are going to be finishing up today, and it's going to be 5 all the way up to my number 1 favorite film. So if you want to hear what my number 1 favorite film is, make sure you stick around to the very end. So we're going to get into it, but first, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new and like the video. Now let's get started. Number 5. At number 5, I'm going to have Halloween H2O. Now, Halloween 20 years later is a great movie. It is such a great horror slasher film. It is fantastic. Seeing Jamie Lee Curtis back facing off against Michael Myers kind of gives you that Frankenstein monster vibe against Dr. Frankenstein, who has no other choice now to have a final showdown. And that's a great part of this movie. Having that final showdown with Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, and it's just so intense and suspenseful. You're going to wonder who's going to win this final fight. And it's just about facing those inner demons and having to conquer that true terror, that final obstacle that's in your way. It is such a great film. That's why I gotta have Halloween H2O on this list. Unfortunately, I don't have the physical copy, waiting for Scream Factory to release one hopefully in the future.
The face of good and the face of evil will meet one last time. But this time, it's going to be a fight to the finish.
And that's why that movie is so great. That final showdown is so powerful and exciting. Had to put it on my list. Number 4. Next is going to be John Carpenter's original Halloween. I have to have the original on here. The original Boogeyman story. You know, the king of slashers. The classic Halloween movie. It is such a great movie. Dealing with that idea of the Boogeyman, the shape. You know, is he out there? Is he defeatable? Or is he something more that you just can't get rid of? And just seeing that type of terrifying, suspenseful presence. And this movie is a very classic film. It's very patient. You'll see the shape subtly, but then he'll disappear. So it's very much like a ghostly boogeyman figure. And then just to see how it happens on a small town and just a normal group of teenagers, and then they have to deal with this terror and this obstacle. And then you see Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie Strode step up at the end to try to defeat the obstacle. And then you got Donald Pleasence in there as Dr. Loomis, who puts on a great performance. Have to have Halloween very high up on this list.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
And that's why the original Halloween is on my list. Just so terrifying. It is my favorite horror movie of all time. You guys know that's my second favorite genre. Number 3. Next, at number 3 is going to be Rocky 4. And I have it straight out of my Rocky collection. Now, Rocky 4 is such a great movie. I think this is my most watched movie because it gets me pumped up. So when I work out, I have this movie playing. And every time it gets to that montage moment, I get excited, get ready, start pumping more. And it is excellent. Such a great movie. It is the best out of the Rocky franchise. Rocky is great in it. All of his supporting cast of family characters, excellent in it. Ivan Drago, the main villain, the boxer Rocky has to fight, is truly terrifying. And that intense scene when he takes out Apollo Creed in the ring, and you see that pain and guilt built up into Rocky, and the only way he knows how to make it right or do something about it is to fight, because he's a fighter. And then the montage sequences, like I said, are so intense that they go through in this movie. Both Ivan Drago's montage and Rocky's montage to get ready for the final fight. And then just to see them clash at the end, it is intense. It's a representation of the Cold War, America versus Russia. It has such great meanings within the movie, and it just has such an impact on me. Like I said, I've seen this movie so many times. To me, this is the Rocky movie, the best in the franchise.
Whatever he is, it is.
And that's why Rocky 4 is my number 3 favorite movie. Just gets you pumped up, right? That's why it got to be on the list. Number 2.
I'm Batman.
And that's why The Dark Knight is number 2 on my list. You gotta put Batman on this list, right? The Dark Knight is such a great movie. It is fantastic. This is one of the best Batman movies out there. It is so fantastic. It's like a crime drama, Godfather type of movie, but with Batman and supervillains within this movie. It just works on so many levels. Christian Bale is excellent as Bruce Wayne in this movie. Just has such a great character arc and just so many dramatic moments within this movie. And then him as Batman as well. Really great action scenes. Can't go wrong with that. And then you also have the star of the show, Heath Ledger's Joker. Steals every scene he's in. He's just so creepy and terrifying and is just the perfect villain for this Batman in an immovable object, right? Against an unstoppable force. And that's what makes the dynamic between Batman and Joker so great. Such intensity within this movie, such dramatic, sad moments within the movie, but it just gets you feeling throughout the movie, and that's why it is my number 2.
You've changed things. Forever. There's no going back. See, to them, you're just a freak. Like me.
And that's why The Dark Knight is my second favorite movie of all time. Can't go wrong with Joker, such a suspenseful, terrifying presence. Get you hooked into the movie every time. And drum roll, please. And number 1. Now for my number 1 favorite movie. Ready for this? We got The Dark Knight Rises. I absolutely love this movie. It is such a great movie. You guys know superhero movies is my favorite genre. To me, this is the best superhero movie of all time. That's why it's my number 1. You have a great character arc with Bruce Wayne, and I think the character arc in this movie is more fulfilled than The Dark Knight, which is why I give the edge to The Dark Knight Rises. The Bruce Wayne character just goes through so much in this movie, being broken down by Bane, who's played by Tom Hardy, who is great in the movie as well. Very terrifying. Not only a physical threat to Batman, but also a very smart villain, very strategic. And to see that strong presence against Batman, it is excellent. Just how he breaks down Batman and Bruce Wayne as a character, gets him into a cave hole, and it's just a prison, but Bruce Wayne has to learn how to, embrace fear and escape and get out, and then conquer Bane and have a final confrontation to conquer that demon. It is so well set up, and all the supporting cast is great here. You have Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, and she's fantastic in every scene of the movie as well. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is the cop character, who is kind of like the Robin character, or tries to set up to be, is great in the movie. And like I said, this movie is fantastic. It is so intense. It is the hero story. A hero that falls from graces, gets defeated by the villain, is completely demolished, but then grows and becomes better and improves and embraces who he is and what he cares about, and then is able to then go back to that same villain and then finally defeat them. It is done so well, and I think the send-off for Batman in this movie is done well as well. This movie truly completes the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't know how else they could have ended the movie more perfectly. That's why The Dark Knight Rises is my most favorite movie of all time. I get the most joy out of this movie, the most entertainment. I love this movie every time I see it. Can't get enough of it. That's why it's my number one favorite movie of all time.
You don't owe these people anymore. You've given them everything.
Not everything. Not yet.
And that's why The Dark Knight Rises is my favorite movie of all time. Such great set pieces, so epic. It is the best superhero story out there, in my opinion. And that will do it for my top 10 list of my favorite films of all time. Make sure you leave your top 10 list in the comments below. What are some of your favorite films of all time? Let's have that conversation down below. And if you're discovering my channel for the first time, make sure you subscribe to it, like the video, turn on notifications. And this is Mega Mike the Movie Man out here reminding you to make every day a movie day.